You're a boy, right?
No, I'm a girl.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy,
When did she tell you you were a girl?
'cause I love girls.
Oh, I see. So mommy told you you were a girl?
Uh-huh.
The state of California says that I have to pay for the chemical and physical castration of my son as child support. I'm not going to pay that child support. I'm not going to pay anything to hurt my son.
And that means you'll be going to prison?
California is going to send me to prison for that.
So, Jeff, you are going through something, you've been going through something that is probably a father's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Tell me when this started.
Started when my son was about 2 years old. My ex-wife, who's a pediatrician in Capel, Texas, started thinking that he might be a girl and started trying to transition him to a girl. And when I tried to put a stop to that, she filed for divorce and used her relationships with care providers to force me out of my house. And so I moved about a mile up the road from my sons. She filed for divorce formally, and I had 50-50 custody of him. And just after his third birthday, I took the first iPhone video I'd ever taken, and it was him telling me that he thought he was a girl because his mommy tells him a girl. You can go on YouTube and just search for "Mommy Says I'm a Girl." You'll find that video. She was telling him things like, she would put him into timeout and say, "Don't be a boy. The monsters only eat boys," and weird things like this. And she began to then socially transition him, and that led to a titanic battle in the state of Texas that culminated in me getting the procedures outlawed in Texas, and the political establishment in Texas allowing her to come to California so she could still castrate him even though I got it outlawed.
Had your son, you have two sons.
I have two sons, James and Jude. They're twins. They're not identical. James is the one that she's transitioning.
And was there any sign in James that he was open to this or showing signs that he wanted to be anything other than
Well, it's interesting. So he was directly asked that by counselors and stuff. But let me just tell you about one of the fundamental facts of the case that a lot of people find shocking. James never presented as a girl with anyone but his mom. At church, with me, with his friends, he dressed as a boy and called himself James. He only presented as a girl with his mom. And I asked him one time, "Why are you doing that?" And he just flat out told me, he said, "Well, mommy doesn't love me if I'm not a girl." And that's what he told the counselors too. James is a very talented boxer. I'm a boxer. My dad was a boxer. James is extremely talented. Jude's a wrestler, but James is a very talented boxer. Olympic talent scouts were looking at him. He's that good. And they backed away from him once this all got started. He has all boyfriends. Now, he has some things that you might say are feminine. He likes art. He particularly likes painting and pastels. My son Jude likes sculpture, James is also more extroverted and is willing to play with almost anybody, And he will definitely play with girls. He'll play tag with girls. He'll build things with girls. He has no problem like hanging around with girls. But in terms of having a desire to be a girl, he consistently told me for 10 years that he had no desire to be a girl. He told the court-appointed counselor that he was embarrassed to wear dresses to school. He was getting too old for that and didn't want to wear dresses. And they initiated a CPS investigation against me for forcing him to be a boy, in my 7th CPS investigation.
And do you have contact with your sons now?
No, I'm disallowed all contact with my sons.
You're not allowed to even contact them?
No. I'll tell you how this all sort of built up. So she started transitioning him, really hardcore at 3. I mean, where she presented him to the world with a fake girl's name and everything. This, of course, would have been an important component in the divorce that was going on. So we get to 2017, and we have our divorce trial, and we had a custody evaluator. His name is Blake Mitchell. He practices out of Frisco, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. And he asked me, what is your top issue? And I said, my top issue is she's tampering with my son's gender identity. So he charges me $60,000 and does a 1-year investigation of my family, interviewing my children over and over again, everything, and determines that she was not transitioning my son to a girl. He straight up lied to the court and said that I had made a false accusation against her for saying that she was trying to transition my son to a girl. And on that basis, I lost 50-50 custody and got less than standard possession time. So I basically got, 4 to 6 days a month with my sons. So that's how the divorce ended, with the psychologist just outright lying. Now, I've been lucky with these psychologists that lie. I've been able to prove they've lied, so the court actually set aside his report. But that's what he actually told the court in his report. So she then starts really ramping up it again, and now he's wearing makeup to school. He's using the girls' restroom at his elementary school, which was Pinkerton Middle School in Coppell, Texas. I got that school shut down. That school doesn't exist anymore in Coppell. They shut down. Got rid of the principal there. Her name is Miss Mickelson, who's the one that really transitioned my son. And I found out after 2.5 years, they had been transitioning my son secretly behind my back. So I would bring my son to Pinkerton Middle School in Coppell in boys' clothes, because he wears boys' clothes with me. And they would give him a dress and tell him to use the girls' bathroom. And when I found that out, I filed grievances against the public school. And of course, they exonerated themselves, saying that under their nicknames policy, they're allowed to call him whatever he wants. And they're allowed to put him in dresses because he wants to wear it and it doesn't harm him in any way. And so there was just no place to go. It's virtually impossible in Texas to sue a school district because they have sovereign immunity. So this kept ramping up with my ex-wife until finally I look in the medical records with my ex-wife chose a pediatrician, Dr. Jennifer Pape, in Flower Mound, Texas, where I live. And Dr. Pape, in the medical records, it says that her and Miss Georgelis, my ex-wife, were planning on chemically castrating James at age 8 or 9. That's plain black and white in the medical records. So obviously I start to vociferously oppose this. I try to get a new pediatrician. I have to go to court to try to get a new pediatrician. That leads her to file another lawsuit against me for sole control of James.
So they were, at what age were they looking to do this?
At age 8 or 9, they were going to chemically castrate him.